Good morning children, welcome back. In today's session we are going to do Class 11 Computer Science Unit 1 Fundamentals of Computer Part 2. Come children, let us learn. And let us have a recap of what we learned. We know children, computers have become an indispensable part of our lives. It has revolutionized our lives with their accuracy and speed of doing a job. We can say that the growth of the computer industry started with the need for performing fast calculations. The manual method was slow and was prone to errors. So, to develop fast calculating device, the journey started from the first known calculating device, which is the abacus, which was invented by the Chinese and the Japanese at almost the same time. And the growth of the industry was determined by the development in technology. And depending on the various stages of development, computers can be categorized into different generations. The first generation computers, the main component used was a vacuum tube. It was big in size, consumed more power, malfunctioned due to overheat, and it used machine language. The ENIAC was the first digital computer, invented by Presper Eckert and John Maclay. The second generation used transistors. They were smaller when compared to the first generation. The third generation became still smaller because they used integrated circuits. They were faster and more reliable. It was followed by the fourth generation computers, which used microprocessors, which had very large scale integrated circuits, or VLSI. The computers became still smaller and faster, and they were portable computers. The fifth generation used ultra large scale integration, or ULSI, and it used parallel processing, superconductors. Computer size was drastically reduced. It could recognize images and graphics. The introduction of artificial intelligence and expert systems made it possible to solve highly complex problems, including decision making and logical reasoning. The sixth generation computer, which is the future of the computer, was using parallel and distributed computing. Computers become smaller, faster, and the development of robotics and natural language processing were voice recognition software are all important factors of sixth generation computers. We also learned about the artificial neural networks, which try to simulate our working of neuron in the human body, and also natural language processing, which is a component of artificial intelligence. We know computer is an electronic device that processes the input according to the set of instructions or programs and gives the desired output at a very fast rate. It converts data into information. Data is an unprocessed collection of raw facts suitable for communication, interpretation, or processing. Information is a collection of facts from which conclusions may be drawn. It is ordered or structured and gives meaningful information. The process of conversion of data to information is called as data processing. Children, now we will see the components of a computer. The computer is a combination of hardware and software. What is it? It is hardware and software. What is hardware? Hardware are those physical components of a computer, like the motherboard, the memory devices, monitor, keyboard. And software are a set of programs or instructions. Both hardware and software together make the computer system to function. Without hardware, software cannot work. Without software, hardware also cannot work. They are indispensable to each other. So the main two components of a computer are the hardware and the software. Hardware are those physical parts of the computer that you can touch, you can see. Whereas softwares are programs which are written by programmers and they are executed by the computer hardware. Now let us see the functional components of a computer. What are the functional components of the computer? Every task or a job given to a computer follows an input process output cycle, also called as a IPO cycle, input process output cycle. That means it needs a certain input, and that input is processed and we get the desired output. The input unit takes in the input. The central processing unit or the CPU does the processing of the data, and the output unit produces the output. And the memory unit of the computer holds the data as well as the instructions to operate on the data during the processing. So, computer works in a cycle called as IPO cycle, or the input process output cycle. The input is given through the input unit, which will consist of keyboard, mouse, barcode reader, scanner, and so on. And the data is processed according to the instruction that is given by the CPU or the central processing unit. After it is done, the processing is done by using the memory. The data is kept in the memory, instructions are kept in the memory, primary memory of the computer, and after doing the processing, it has to be displayed, it has to be given out, and that is done, given out from the computer by the means of an output device. It could be a printout by a printer or a display on the monitor, or maybe on the projector, and so on. So that is the working of the IPO cycle. The diagram shows the functioning of computer. You have the input unit, and from the input unit, data is going to the main memory. The processing is done. Internal memory, ALU, control unit gives the instructions as to what to read from input unit, what to go to the secondary storage, what to be displayed in the output unit. You can see the lines that are red in color, it is a data path. It is from the input unit towards the main memory, secondary storage, ALU, internal memory, and back and forth. And it is going to the output unit. The control path is from the control unit. Control unit goes to the control is given to the input unit, then to the secondary unit, then to the ALU, to the internal memory, the main memory, as well as the output unit. So control unit controls all the operations of the computer. Whatever data is given from the input unit, whatever program is fed through the input unit is stored in the main memory. Then it goes for the processing into the internal memory as per the instruction by the control unit. The logical and arithmetic calculations are done in the ALU, and after the calculations it is brought back to the internal memory, to the main memory, and if it has to be stored, it goes to the secondary storage. Then if it has to be displayed on the screen or it has to be given as a printout, it accordingly the instructions are given and the instructions are executed. Now we will learn in detail about these components of the computer. The first and the foremost is the input unit. The input unit is used to feed any form of data to the computer, and it can be stored. The data we feed can be stored into the memory unit for further processing. Examples for input unit are keyboard, mouse, barcode reader, scanner, and so on. The next important component of computer is the central processing unit, or the CPU, central processing unit. The CPU is the major component which interprets and executes software instructions. So it is a job of the CPU to interpret whatever instruction is given. It has to translate into the hardware language and execute the software instruction. Whatever instructions are given in the form of programs, the CPU has to decode it and make the hardware to do it. It also controls the operations of all other components such as the memory, input and output units. It will not only interpret and execute the instruction, it will control the operations of all the other components. It will take a binary data, that is zeros and ones, as input, processes the data according to the instruction and provide the result as output. It accepts input in the form of binary and converts the data into the information as the program is specified. The CPU has three components, which are control unit, arithmetic and logic unit, and memory unit. These are the important components of the CPU. Which are they? They are the control unit, arithmetic and logic unit, and the memory unit. Now we will see in detail about the ALU, arithmetic logic unit. ALU is a part of CPU where various computing functions are performed, that is the calculations. Computing means calculation. The word compute means to calculate. The calculations are all done on the data in the ALU. It means ALU performs arithmetic operations such as addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, as well as logical operation like comparison, and, or, not, etc. And the result of an operation is stored in the internal memory of the CPU. Whatever calculations the arithmetic and logic unit is doing, the result of that is stored in the internal memory. The logical operations of ALU promote the decision-making ability of the computer. The logical operations are, like I told you, and, or, and, not, that will help in the decision-making ability of the computer. That it will decide what flow, which direction the flow of control should move. All those things are dependent on the logical operations of the CPU, the capacity of the logical operations of the CPU. Now we will learn about the memory unit of the computer. There are two types of memory, children. They are the primary memory and the secondary memory. What are the two types of memory? It is a primary memory and the secondary memory. The primary memory is used to store data temporarily, the programs as well as data. When the instructions are ready to execute, it stores the data for a temporary time. The secondary memory is used to store the data permanently. You store the data permanently in the secondary memory. The primary memory is volatile. It is a volatile memory. V-O-L-A-T-I-L-E, volatile. That is, the content is lost when the power supply is switched off. Example for primary memory is your RAM, random access memory. The secondary memory is non-volatile. That means the content is available even after the power supply is switched off. Your hard disk, your CD-ROM, your DVD-ROM are all examples of your secondary memory. Even your flash drives, your pen drives are examples of secondary memory. Children, the control unit controls the flow of data between the CPU, memory, and the input-output devices. The control unit controls the entire operations of a computer. It is like the person who is in charge of the computer. The control unit controls everything, right from the input of data to the output of data to the processing, the memory access, sending to secondary memory, primary memory, internal memory. All these work is done under the supervision, under the control of the control unit. The next one is those are the different parts of the CPU. You have the arithmetic logic unit, the memory unit, and the control unit. Now we will move on to the next unit of the computer, that is the output unit. Children, output unit is any hardware component that conveys information to the user in an understandable form. It will convey the information to the user, which user can understand. It could be the display on the monitor as soft copy, or it could be a printout on the printer, which is a hard copy, or maybe on the projector, or it could be a speaker which will play your audio, and so on. Now we will learn about the various input devices. They are keyboard, mouse, scanner, fingerprint scanner, trackball, retinal scanner, light pen, optical character reader or OCR, barcode or QR code reader, barcode or QR code, quick response code reader, voice input systems, digital camera, touch screen, and keyer. We are going to learn about all these input devices in detail. You know, mouse and keyboard are the most commonly used input devices. The fingerprint scanner you would have seen in the banks where the individual computers are fitted with a fingerprint scanner so that the employees can log in without any difficulty, without disclosing their password. Retinal scanner you would have seen in films where it is used for entry into the CIA or the NASA. Barcode and QR code scanner you are seeing everywhere in supermarkets, in a shop, even in a small petty shop you can find a QR code scanner or a reader, and you can scan it using your mobile and read and do the payment. The cameras in our smartphones are always used as an input device, right children? So we will learn about all these things in the following session. Children, now we will learn about the keyboard. A keyboard can be wired, wireless, or even virtual. Virtual means actual keyboard will not be there, but you will have a panel and you can type in. It is the most common input device used today. The most commonly used input device is the keyboard. The individual keys for letters, that is A to Z, numbers 0 to 9, and special characters like !, exclamation, etc. are collectively known as the character keys. So what are the character keys? They are letters, numbers, and special characters. All these things form the character set or the character keys. This keyboard layout is derived from the keyboard of the original typewriter. Earlier we had typewriters, and the keyboard layout is the format in the same format as that of a typewriter. The key positions are in the same format as that of a typewriter. The data as well as the instructions are given as input to the computer by typing on the keyboard. You can give the data and the programs and the instructions by typing on the keyboard. Apart from alphabet and numeric keys, it also has function keys F1 to F12 for performing different functions. For example, in any window, if you press F1, you will get the help of that. You can refresh your screen by pressing the F5 key, and so on. So you have numeric keys, alphabet keys, as well as definite function keys. There are different sets of keys available in the keyboard, such as character keys, modifier keys, system and GUI keys, enter and editing keys, function keys, navigation keys, numeric keypad, and lock keys. Lock keys like the print screen or the screen lock or the page lock, caps lock, etc. So many types of keys are available on the keyboard. Normal keyboard will have character keys, alphabet keys or character keys, then number keys, then separate numeric keypad. Multimedia keyboard will have the functions for that. Now we will see the next input device, that is the mouse. A mouse can be wired or wireless. It is a pointing device used to control the movement of the cursor on the screen. It can be used to select icons, menus, command buttons, or activate something on the computer. Some mouse actions are move, click, double click, right click, drag, and drop. The actions are move, click, double click, right click, drag and drop. The picture shows how to hold a mouse and how to click, right click and scroll, and also to drag and drop. Different types of mouses available are mechanical mouse, optical mouse, laser mouse, air mouse, 3D mouse, tactile mouse, ergonomic mouse and gaming mouse. Children, mechanical mouse is the one which we use commonly in our computer. That is a mechanical mouse. If it is using the light form, it is called as optical. Then you have the 3D or laser mouse, which uses laser beam. It is usually used for gaming. That is shown in the picture. Then what is an air mouse? It is like when you wave with the air mouse, it detects its own movements and translates them to corresponding cursor movements on the computer screen, kind of a remote. Children, then we have a 3D mouse or a three-dimensional mouse is a pointing and control device specialized for movement in the virtual 3D environment, that is three-dimensional environment. It has got two-dimensional pointing, then infrared lights and infrared sensors. A tactile mouse is used for providing access for blind people to graphical information on the computer screen. The active movements of the hand and the tactile feedback to the fingers make the users feel as if they were exploring tangible drawings. Advanced ergonomics design with thumb scoop encourages the natural hand and wrist postures. Mouse angle and height are designed to place wrist in a comfortable position. Children, a gaming mouse is usually a desktop mouse with additional features to make it suited for computer gaming. It has high intensity programming, programmable buttons, higher sensitivity, adjustable weight and faster response time. The banned Chinese gaming PUBG can be easily played by the means of a gaming mouse. Children, Douglas Carl Engelbart was an American engineer and inventor. He was an early computer and internet pioneer. He is known for his works in the field of human-computer interaction, and he is the one who created the computer mouse. The computer mouse as we know it today was invented and developed by Douglas Engelbart with the assistance of Bill English during the 1960s and was patented on November 17, 1970. The meaning of patent. Patent means protected by a government issued right, allowing someone to make and sell a product or a service for a certain amount of years without anyone being allowed to copy it. That means the invention cannot be commercially made, used, distributed, imported or sold by others without the patent owner's consent. The next input device we are going to learn is the scanner. Scanners are used to enter the information directly into the computer's memory. This machine or device works like a Xerox machine. The scanner converts any type of printed or written information, that includes photographs, into digital format, which can be manipulated by a computer. There are different types of scanners, like a flatbed scanner, which we usually use in the office, a sheet-fed scanner, or a handheld, and a drum scanner. The one shown in the picture is a flatbed scanner. The next one is a fingerprint scanner. A fingerprint scanner is a fingerprint recognition device used for computer security, equipped with the fingerprint recognition feature that uses biometric technology. You can see this kind of scanners in an offices like banks, where you have to enter the password to log in. Children, a biometric technology is the use of technology to identify a person based on the aspect of their biology, maybe because their fingerprint, facial pattern, voice or typing cadence, etc. A fingerprint reader or a scanner is a very safe and convenient device for security instead of using passwords, which is vulnerable to fraud and it is hard to remember. So in banks, if they have to move out of the place, they can easily have their fingerprint lock. Fingerprint scanner allows them to access their computers very fast without keeping in mind about the password. The next device is a trackball. Trackball is similar to an upside down design of the mouse. The user moves the ball directly while the device itself remains stationary. Only the ball is moved, the device is there. The user spins the ball in various directions to navigate the screen movement. So by using the ball, it can navigate through the screen very easily. The next kind of device is a retinal scanner. This performs retinal scan, which is a biometric technique that uses unique patterns on a person's retinal blood vessels. So once you scan your retina, you can give access to the person. You can easily identify the person in that. Retinal scanners are used for authentication and identification purposes in several government agencies like the FBI, CIA and NASA. Now we will see the next input device, which is a light pen. It is a pointing device like a mouse, shaped like a pen, and it is connected to a monitor. The tip of the light pen consists of a light sensitive element that will detect the light from the screen, enabling the computer to identify the location of the pen on the screen. They have the advantage of drawing. You are able to draw directly onto the screen. But this becomes hard to use and is not so accurate. Light pens are better suited to artistic and design work more than a mouse. But it requires specialized monitors designed to interact with the pen. Mostly the monitors are old cathode ray tube technology, making them cumbersome and exceptionally heavy. The next input device is optical character reader or OCR. It is a device which detects characters printed or written on a paper with OCR. A user can scan a page from a book. The computer will recognize the characters in the pages as letters and punctuation marks and stores it. The scanned document can be always edited by using a word processor. There you can see the picture. You can see your picture, a page is there that is scanning, and after that it is converted into an image. Then you apply an OCR software and you get a text document which can be converted. It could be an image with text or just a PDF file or any scanned material, and that is converted to text which can be edited by a word processor like WordPad or Star Office Writer or so. Next we are going to see about a barcode reader and a QR code scanner. A barcode is a pattern printed in lines of different thickness. You can see a barcode on the screen. The barcode reader scans the information on the barcodes, transmits to the computer for further processing. The system gives fast and error-free entry of information into the computer. This you would have seen in supermarkets. The billing person will be having a handheld barcode reader, and whatever products we have chosen, that they will scan with the barcode reader. Once they scan it, they just have to enter the number of quantity, the quantity purchased, the date of manufacture, the expiry date, the amount, everything, and the discount on that product. Everything is displayed just by scanning it once. The next one is QR, that is quick response code. QR code is a two-dimension barcode which can be read by a camera and processed to interpret the image. You can do payment. You can see QR code in your textbook also. You can get the details about that. Once you use a mobile phone to scan it with a QR code scanner software, you are able to go to that particular link. That is the use of a QR or quick response code. A QR code is quickly readable by a cell phone, hence the name Quick. It is a two-dimensional barcode. When a QR code is scanned, it conveys a wide range of information. A voice input device is one in which the input data or system commands are given as speech. They use speech recognition processes and can replace other input devices. The voice input system, children, microphone serves as a voice input device. It captures the voice data and sends it to the computer. Using microphone along with the speech recognition software can offer a completely new approach to input information into the computer. We also have a voice recognition. It is a computer software program or a device with the ability to decode the human voice. It is used to operate a device, perform commands, or write without having to use a keyboard, mouse, or press any buttons. The next input device is a digital camera. It captures images or videos directly in the digital form. It uses a CCD, that is a charge coupled device, electronic chip. When light falls on the chip through the lens, it converts light rays into digital format. A digital camera captures photographs in digital memory. It is now incorporated into mobile devices like smartphones, and it can be used for video telephony like video calls and directly edit and upload images to others. Unlike other film cameras, digital cameras can display images on a screen immediately after being recorded, and it can store and delete images from memory. Some cameras allow recording of moving videos with sound. Some allows for elementary image editing in it. The next input device is a touch screen. It is a computer screen that can be used by touching it with a finger or a stylus pen instead of using a mouse or keyboard. It can be described as a touchpad with a screen built into it. All kinds of devices, both big and small, make use of touch screens. A touchscreen is a display device that allows the user to interact with the computer by using the finger. It can be quite useful as an alternative to a mouse or a keyboard for navigating a GUI, that is a graphical user interface. Touchscreens are used on a wide variety of devices like computers, laptops, monitors, smartphones, tablets, cash registers, and information kiosk. You can find touchscreen in an ATM machine or in a railway station, and you can touch and get the information. Some touchscreens use a grid of infrared beams to sense the presence of a finger instead of utilizing touch sensitive input. Sometimes just by mere going near it, it will be selected. That is the advanced touchscreens. We will learn about another input device that is called as a keyer. A keyer is a device for signaling by hand by way of pressing one or more switches. Modern keyers have a large number of switches, but not as many as a full-size keyboard. Typically, this number is between 4 and 50. You know, children, a typical keyboard consists of 101 keys. A keyer differs from a keyboard which has no board, but the keys are arranged in a cluster. Children, an electronic keyer makes the CW communication, that is a continuous wave. We can say the kind of Morse code, as it automatically generates the string of dots and dashes for the continuous wave operation. It gives consistent signals as the dots, dashes and space are all produced with the correct length and timing. Children, Morse code is a method used in telecommunication to encode text characters as a standard sequence of two different signal durations called as dots and dashes. A Morse code keyer allows the text entry from a Morse code input, and this can be used for sending the continuous wave on ham radio if you are having an amateur radio license. On the picture you can find a keyer as well as a Morse code keyer. Before we wind up, let us have a recap of what we learned in this one. We learned that the component of computer is a combination of hardware and a software. The functional component of a computer works with a IPO cycle, input, process, output cycle. That means it needs certain input and processes that output and produces the desired output and stores it for later use. The input unit takes the input. The CPU or the central processing unit under the control of the control unit does the arithmetical and logical operations in ALU, and the processing. After processing, the output is produced in the output unit. The memory unit holds the data as well as the instructions during the processing. We also learned the components of the CPU. They are ALU, control unit, and MU or memory unit. ALU is a part of CPU where various computing functions are performed. It does the arithmetic operation as well as the logical operations. The logical operations promote the decision-making ability of a computer. We learned about the memory unit. There are of two types of memory. They are the primary memory and the secondary memory. Primary memory is temporary storage and secondary memory is permanent storage. Primary is volatile and secondary is permanent or non-volatile. RAM is an example for main memory. Hard disk, CD, DVD, pen drive are all examples of secondary memory. We also learned about the various input devices like the keyboard and mouse, which are the commonly used input devices. We also learned about scanner, which is used to convert any typed or printed information, including the photographs, into a digital format. We also learned about the fingerprint scanner. It is a fingerprint recognition device for computer security, which uses biometric technology. A trackball is used to spin the ball in various directions to navigate the screen movements. The retinal scanner is a biometric technique, uses a unique patterns on the person's retinal blood vessels. Light pens we can draw directly onto the screen. Using an OCR or optical character reader, we can detect the characters printed or written on a paper with an OCR. A barcode scanner is used to give the fast and error-free entry of information into the computer. QR code is a two-dimensional barcode which is read by a camera and processed to interpret the image. We also learned about the voice input systems using the microphone, and to capture the images we can use a digital camera. We also learned the use of a touch screen in the case of laptops, monitors, smartphones, cash registers, and information kiosks. A keyer is a device for signaling by hand by way of pressing one or more switches. It has no keyboard, but the keys are arranged in a cluster. Children, in the next session, we will do the output units of the computer as well as the booting process. Thank you for watching this video. Comment your doubts and suggestions. Please share and subscribe our YouTube channel, youtube.com/online CBSE classes. Stay tuned for more videos. Thank you.